We don't have an intro song.
No, we don't. But we're actually live this time, right?
Yes.
Yes. We really should have been recording this entire time. That was a bunch of really awesome clips that we missed out on, but yeah, next time. Next time. I do love the idea of going live at 4:04 p.m. every time, but we missed that one too. You sure we can't do that?
It's 4:06.
I know, but error code, come on. All right. So we're here this time to start off something entirely new, something maybe a little bit wacky and strange. Maybe we're biting off a little more than we can chew, but we're going to start up a 26-week, 52-episode series where we invite everyone on the internet to follow along as we fumble through and learn and eventually master two really valuable technologies that will allow us to program the future of money. Before we really dive into that, it'd be a really great idea to introduce to everyone who doesn't have a clue who we are, well, who we are. So who are you, Sam?
I'm Sam, or RG Bubs is my Twitch everything social name, new name for Rainbow Glitter Bubbles. You'll understand that as you get to know me.
It's very fitting.
Yes. A co-founder with Jason, and we're co-founding Liminal, which is a community of creative technologists and immersive artists, and you can learn more about Liminal at liminal.is, and you can actually find the live stream liminal.is and go to live.
Yes, it's a really easy way to do it, or you can go to twitch.tv/Liminal Studios.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Jason, as she said, with that wonderful Vanna White introduction for those of you who ever have watched Wheel of Fortune. Co-founder of Liminal. I've been doing community and development and design things for a very, very long time. That's a code word for I'm old. We are going to be doing some very interesting things on this stream. What we really want to do is create a 3D immersive coding environment that allows you to create really complicated things in a simple way.
Well, what am I supposed to say?
Why don't we just dive right into it?
Yeah, okay. So what we're up to specifically with this 26-week thing, we'll give you just like more of an idea of the details of what we're up to now. Yes. We won't actually be like making the thing today, but we'll probably start doing that on Thursday.
I think we're going to dive in on Thursday.
Yeah, so we're going to do streams every Tuesday and every Thursday at 4:04 p.m.
You think that's going to work?
Yeah.
You want to do it? I think it'd be awesome. Because this is going to be...
4:04 now.
It's going to be a comedy of errors, which is the best way to learn, I think. So I think that would be really fitting.
Okay, so...
4:04.
The overview of this is we're going to be using Unity, which is a 3D modeler for building games, or what did you call it? You call it a gravity...
Well, it's a physics engine.
Physics engine.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that idea of a gravity engine. That's even better.
You can put 3D objects in it, and you can make games.
Yeah.
You can make...
films, VR experiences, mobile applications, including games, 2D games, 3D games, what have you. It's the industry leader right now. The second biggest physics engine for similar things is Unreal Engine. There's just a larger, more active community for Unity, and it's awesome. It really does a lot of great work.
Yeah. So we're going to be taking that program. We're going to be learning it. I do not I played with it a little bit, but like I do not personally know it yet. And we're going to be trying to do live visual coding in like our environment that we make. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what that quite looks like yet or anything, but we just wanted to make a space for visual people to be able to code very easily. Mm-hmm. But we want to specifically start with coding in blockchain.
Yeah. So for those of you, especially in the world who are not hyper technical or not usually seen as technical, I think it's a really, really important thing. It's obvious to everyone at this point, code runs the world, software is eating the world. There really is nothing more important than learning how to code. But for most people, the idea of sitting at a computer, staring at a screen for 10, 12 hours a day, reading through line after line of text is miserable. I've been doing that for 20 years. I've been doing visual design for 20 years, and I know which one I like better. That's really, really easy. For the longest time, I've been a bit obsessed with the idea of being able to create everything that you can make with programming in an environment that feels closer to real life, that feels intuitive, the way that we just know almost automatically, instinctively, how to pick up a cup, pick up any kind of object, and make it do wonderful things like that was good. Make it do wonderful things like satiate our thirst. Yes, exactly. That's the essence of programming, really. Everyone gets obsessed with this idea that programming is text, that code is text, that you have to be stringing together bits of text. And there are good reasons for that. Like, text writing is probably the densest, cleanest, simplest way to convey information that humanity's ever made. But there's a whole lot of stuff that you have to keep in your mind when you're creating a program, when you're creating a thing that does things for you when you're not looking, right? Like, you create something that goes and does things, that completes an action, like my arm grabs the mug, brings it to my mouth, and I drink some water, and that quenches my thirst, hopefully. Doing things like that are conceptually really, really easy, but the systems we currently have for doing it exclude anyone who doesn't have the capacity or the training to hold massive amounts of text-based information and translations for what it means in their mind at the same time. So what if you could do it in a way where it felt more like building blocks as a kid, or like cooking? That's one of my favorite metaphors, right? Or dancing, or painting, or designing something in a physical, virtual environment. That's what we're setting out to do. And we're doing it for the most valuable and important programming technology that we find to be active today, which is blockchain. It's programming the future of money. I can't think of anything that's a bigger deal than that. I also can't think of anything that most people have no fucking clue how to understand. It's difficult. Blockchain technologies, cryptocurrencies, smart contracts, people hear these buzzwords, they know it's important, and they have no idea what's going on with them. So we like to take on hard challenges, and we're going to do that.
Yeah, so a few like specific things that we're going to be doing are we're going to be creating our own crypto token live.
Yes.
So you'll kind of learn how to be doing that with us. We're going to be deconstructing, categorizing, translating videos within Unity and Dev, overview of blockchain, and everything needed. Well, I'm just reading now. We're going to be... Well, how I design is deconstructing, categorizing, and translating everything. So we're essentially doing that for blockchain, for like specifically Solidity, Unity, just all of the components needed to make this project happen.
We'll break it down step by step. So this goes back to who Sam is. She's had a wonderful history, work experience of doing intensive product and UX design, going through every element of how you break down a problem into its component parts, and how you schedule out a series of steps to turn a complex problem into a simple solution. It's going to be really interesting to go through that process live. It's going to be fun and fascinating to go through the process of working out the kinks of our live stream dynamic live also. That's going to be amazing. But it really all goes back to a simple, let's say, philosophy or insight, or maybe just a guess at what kind of education works best, especially works best for us. So it goes back to what I was saying a second ago about like taking on really hard challenges and being willing to fail with them, fumble with them, to really get your hands on them, and to practice and work on real things until you just can't help but start to understand it. The more, at least this is what I've found for sure, and I think you're the same way, the more that you just get right into the thick of things and take an action-oriented, project-based approach, the less you overthink what you don't know, and the more you find that suddenly it all makes sense. So we're hoping that if you follow along with us, that there will be a whole lot more people who understand what all this blockchain stuff is all about.
Hello, Snowy Cat. This is someone who's been watching me do one of my streams, actually, my Sims 4 stream recently. We're talking about creating a project in virtual reality that will allow you to build out, be able to develop more products, but visually.
Yes.
So creating components you can put together, and we'll show some examples of that so it's not as confusing and kind of like abstract as it sounds right now. But one other thing is that we're going to be bringing on guests.
Yes.
Super cool people doing super cool things. And
Lots
teaching
of really
me to
awesome
do
people.
super cool things and watching me fumble the entire time.
Yes.
If you watch the hologram stream, or if you want to, that's pretty much what it is.
But it's also going to be in some really fun settings. We're not going to tell you what we have lined up to do yet, but we're going to be going to some really interesting places where things like, we can talk about some of the things that you'll be learning that we'll both be learning or getting better at. So things like learning how to do 3D sculpting in a really awesome studio environment, different studio environment than the one we're in right now. Things like doing really awesome painting with VR. Definitely, we're going to have some very interesting specialists in blockchain and smart contract development. That'll be really nice. But yeah, why don't we get started with showing some of the things of like examples of what we were talking about?
Yeah, sure. Alrighty.
Oh, this is really important.
This is Unity.
Yes.
This is really important.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Sure. Sure. I can do that.
We're great at this.
Absolutely. We'll get the hang of it. So if you don't know much about developing for games or for certain kinds of films or mobile phones or for VR especially, Unity is currently the market leader. You can go, this works on Linux, on Mac, on Windows. You can go and download this right now. It's free up until the point where you're earning way more money than you should. So unless you're some massive game company, it's free. And it's incredible. You download this and it doesn't really take very much to get started. You can go onto YouTube and there are tons and tons and tons of videos about how to learn to become a Unity dev or designer and become really good at it. Maybe we can show a little, do they have a video or some photos of what the actual interface looks like? Because we can play with it, we will be playing with it directly on this live stream on the next episode on Thursday. But maybe a little taste of it would be cool.
We can open up Unity.
We could do that, sure, why not? What's great about it is that it has a graphical interface that allows you to create scenes primarily. And you can sequence different kinds of actions with objects that you can plant there that do different things over time. It's a lot like Mind Show that we got to play with at the NYU Future Labs the other day. For anyone who doesn't know, who does have I think it's Vive only right now, right? Mind Show? I forget.
We did it in Vive. Oh, wait.
We did it in Vive, yes. Oh, there, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, let's just do this.
Sure, why not?
Let me try to kill Unity program, because I'm sure that this is like...
We have a lot of things on this computer.
We have a lot of things happening right now.
Make it big for everyone.
I don't know what'll happen if I make it big.
That's a really good point. It's all about experimentation. All about experimentation.
Well, I'll just open it up and I'll make it larger.
Sure.
Oh, you can see us live. That's a good screen capture.
That's really nice. I think it's perfect, honestly.
Yeah, this is the animation portion.
Yeah. What Unity gives you is basically your own film studio / game studio in a box. You're able to, on your computer, create whatever story comes to mind and create all sorts of series of interactions. Like, that's awesome. I love this. Like the things that she's showing you right now with these keynote videos from the Unite Europe in 2017. One of my favorite things that Unity does actually is they allow you to create VR experiences from within VR. They have a new platform called Editor XR. The X stands for a combination of VR and AR and mixed reality and others. But it's absolutely incredible. I got to play with it at the Castle, another one of our partner spaces, the other day, actually like a few weeks ago now. And while it's really, really early, experimental, it's beta, you have to have a really powerful computer to run it. It is mind-blowing because you're in this environment, you're in this world, and you just have control over what you can make. You just have these controllers, your hands, that you bring into the scene, and you have a palette that you're able to choose from. You're able to drop objects in, And the key thing up until recently was, okay, where do you get these objects? But now on XR, yeah. I wonder if they'll show it. I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. That's perfect.
This
Yeah,
one?
that's Timony talking about Editor XR.
Please welcome Timony.
That's actually not Timony. That's interesting.
I like it.
It's an artist in residence talking about XR, but Timony is the project lead. There you go. That one right there showing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're a character in a VR world making VR applications that actually turn into real programs that you can then release to the public that they can run on their VR headsets and the like. So it's really transformative. It is the future, but it's live today. And it needs a lot of work. But the most exciting thing to me about it is that it's open source. So anyone can take it, like us, and work on it and extend on it. And this is just a complete radical change of how people create software. And again, software is everything today. It's just a change of how people create, and that's just incredible to me. I'm gonna just be way too superlative today. I don't have the words to express how cool it is.
Yeah, so that's a nice little introduction to Unity and Editor.
Yeah, very much so.
And another really important component, well, this is specifically for blockchain, right?
Yes.
Is building things in Solidity, which is the programming language you use to make the contracts in blockchain.
Well, in Ethereum specifically. Yeah. It's
Ethereum specifically.
Yes.
So we want to build off Ethereum. We like Ethereum. Ethereum's cool.
They have unicorns on their shirts.
That's also probably
really important.
A good one to explain.
Yes.
Ethereum. Where is their main website?
It's both a platform for building. It's ethereum.org. Yes.
It's a lot.
It's a platform for building cryptocurrencies and your own blockchain applications, but it's also its own cryptocurrency called Ether. So if you know what Bitcoin is, cryptocurrency, or if you know what cryptocurrencies are in general, they're basically digital cash, or really digital representations of value and information, which are now being traded as cash all over the world. Bitcoin recently hit its all-time high of somewhere around 4,500. I have no idea where it's at today, but it's most accurately, I think, compared to digital gold. It's been competing very actively with gold in the market. So as Bitcoin has been going up, gold has been going down. Ether, or Ethereum, is better understood as digital oil. Gold basically is just a social construct. People trust that it has value because other people value it. It has no tangible, usable value. None. It's like, yeah, it's used a little bit in jewelry. So what? So are a lot of other things. And it's used a tiny bit in electronics, but it's really too pricey to do that very much. It has no serious tangible value. It's just been valued for a very long time, socially, psychologically. Oil, on the other hand, in our current economy for the last 100+ years or so, is not just a social unit of value, a socially accepted unit of value. It's also used to power most of our economy. In plastic, in gas, it does things. It's made, we make things from it, all sorts of things that you wouldn't even imagine, sadly, because it has lots of hidden costs, right? So Ethereum's like oil. It isn't just a thing that's valued because of how other people trust it. It's a thing that does things, that you can use to create things.
Yeah, that's what's most exciting about it. Like, Bitcoin is just Bitcoin.
For the most part.
This is like a platform where you can build your own cryptocurrencies and DAOs. Here you go.
Ooh, can you describe a DAO?
Decentralized organization.
Basically,
Decentralized autonomous organization,
Yeah.
right? So that's it's kind of like liquid democracy.
It's very similar to liquid democracy, yes.
It's very similar to liquid democracy, which
Yeah.
we heard about last night. So it's just a new way of kind of voting system. I'm looking at him because he knows the answer, and I'm trying to
I spent 12 years in
explain it.
nonprofits specifically working on things related to voting systems. So yeah, I might know a thing or two.
Yeah, okay. Here you go. Create a democratic autonomous organization. That's what it's called. Okay.
Democratic, but yeah.
Damn it, democratic. So it's different people allocating their voting power to other people.
Yes.
So it's representative, but it doesn't necessarily have to be representative. It's not like only these people are allowed to represent you. You can also rescind your vote and say, no, I don't agree with the way that person voted. They don't get my vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people can vote for you, or you vote for yourself, just depending on the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how Santiago Siri from Democracy Earth talked about it last night, where, and this all applies to whether we're talking about finance or politics or programming or whatever, the principles are all the same. The words change, right? So we talk about voting, we can talk about authentication and programming. It's just, how do you give permission for a thing, and how do you express your preference in all sorts of different ways, or potentially program ahead of time automated chains of commands with your preferences, where we say, if it happens to be raining today, I want this whole series of Rube Goldberg-esque actions to be triggered, right? So he talked about it as being systems for finally having a sense, a way of securing and distributing networked individual sovereignty, then a networked sense of each individual on the planet eventually having control over our own choices and having a say in our own lives. That's fundamentally what blockchain helps to accomplish. Yeah.
And I just want to call out Snowy Cat's comment, which was from a while ago. They said, this is cool. It's weird how I think this is interesting even though I'm young. But the person who created Ethereum started Ethereum.
He launched Ethereum
when he was 19.
That's right.
So I'm 25.
Yep.
To me, that's young.
I'm a bunch older.
We won't reveal your age.
That's fine. People know it, whatever.
But younger people are getting into more complex technology. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what your age is. If you have interest in it, you can make something that's extremely powerful, like Ethereum.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think what's really fascinating about it, and well, basically everything, right? Everything is really fascinating about it. Well, there are a lot of great things in the world. There are a lot of really shitty things in the world too, but this is great. What's so great about it is that fundamentally, for the first time in history, these are platforms that are being built for digital natives, for people that grew up on technology as a way of, not just of life, but it's like, even for me, who might be a little bit older than many people, I grew up in New York in an environment where I was lucky enough or privileged enough to be going and playing arcade games at the age of 3 while my uncle was drinking in the bar. That got me my first taste. That got me hooked on playing video games and on everything about technology. So even for people like me, and for an entire generation after me, this isn't everything that we do on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Snapchat, all the rest. It's not like some pastime or some afterthought. It's how we live. It's how we communicate. It's how we connect. It's how we do everything. And now we're starting to get tools that bring all of that, not just into sharing our latest selfies or whatever, our wonderful cat videos. Oh, by the way, we do have a third co-host of this live stream, which is he's sleeping on the couch over there, Heavy D. We'll bring him on sometime. But it's not just how we share our latest cat videos. Now for the first time, we're able to actually program money or value, and we have networks of value, and that's been something that's been left out since the beginning of the internet, and it's time to change that. So that's really just fascinating to me. It's a platform for everything for digital natives.
Yeah,
I love that.
Should we introduce any other programs that are
Yeah, let's do that. Well, why don't we give some examples of things, like we talk about a live 3D VR coding environment. Well, what the hell are we talking about? That just sounds really weird and a little bit too futuristic, right?
Yeah, it sounds weird to me too.
That doesn't really sound weird to me. I've been wanting it since I was like a tiny kid. But for most people, it sounds really weird. But why don't we give an example of Soundstage? Because it's not for programming, but it is a great example that's available now for Vive. And it has there's some flaws to it, right? Like I have a lot of, I think we both do, have a lot of DJ and music producing friends. Actually, we definitely do.
Yes.
Shout out to a few of you out there. And I've heard some complaints about like how it's not really responsive enough. It just isn't immersive enough. You can't do as much as you want to do. But from a when it comes to music, from like a non-music genius perspective, basically, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like you're able to make music in the way that you're about to see.
Okay, I'm gonna play it.
Yes, please.
It's really cool.
That was the whole point of me saying about the sea. That would be awesome.
Got a nice little soundtrack to it.
It's great. It's great. I hope they made it in Soundstage. They better have. I want to do that. It looks like he's using lightsabers
So he's
to play
making
drums.
the instruments. He's laying out the instruments and he's playing them.
Yeah.
He's changing synthesizers.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
he's
read the
modulating
words.
stuff. Exactly. He's
Taking
doing,
samples.
Yeah, he's doing everything you'd do if you were producing music.
And connecting them by drawing lines from one thing to the other.
Yes.
So not actual cables.
Right. Isn't that amazing? So what a lot of people don't understand is that music production and coding and design and cooking, which I'm going to just repeat over and over again, and so many things that we do in life, they're really the same process. They involve the same stuff. They just use different terminology. And you have to learn that insider terminology to really start to grasp the connections between them, that there aren't real barriers between them. Fundamentally, what we're seeing when we're seeing something like Soundstage, or with music production in general, is that you have a series of components. You have a bunch of parts of things, and those things do things, and they have certain labels on them. And how you combine those things together in what kind of timeline is how you get the results you want. So whether you're producing music or whether you're producing a better pet walking app, which we definitely will be doing, ideally with this program that we're building live for the next 26 weeks. It's the same kind of process. It's the system you use, the process you use that really makes the difference.
Yeah, and I think something that you pointed out to me was when you look at code, it looks kind of scary sometimes, at least if you don't do it a lot or at all. Or
if you do it a lot for a long time and hate it, it still gives me nightmares. I mean, it looks scary to me. It gives me actual nightmares, yes.
Yes, and it's text-based. But I don't know if a lot of people know this, but it is modular. That's how it's created. Like, I use jQuery, which is like a simpler form of JavaScript, which is, again, another component made language. They're all predetermined things happen when you type in certain words. So we're translating those components into actual physical objects now, or virtual objects.
Into objects and movements and actions, and it'll be fun. I don't know. We have to map this out a little bit more as far as like how much we're going to be able to cover in this 26-week series. We're going to be streaming twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday at 4:04 p.m.
4:04 p.m.
At 4:04 p.m. But we're going to have to map it out with a little more detail after this stream to get a sense of how much we can cover in that time. But it'll be really fun if we can build on this and have some voice-activated components to it as well. If we can get voice recognition into this, I'm going to be so happy. So happy.
It's like a big tech thing now.
It is.
Voice,
it's huge.
Everything.
Yes.
I'm afraid
to say, okay,
no.
You know what? and see what happens. Yes.
Or
no. We will live our voices.
Will respond to me.
They hear that. They hear that.
What? It'll hear me?
I think so. I think
it's like right behind us.
Yeah, it's sneaking up on us. But voice is super cool, so we're going to see if we can sneak that in.
Yeah. What other examples do you
why
think
don't we show some great examples of, well, we're talking about visual programming, and this is not a new concept. Visual programming has been around for a very long time. The only problem is, well, I mean, to be blunt, it sucks. It's terrible. Why don't we go to Scratch, one of the best, well-known examples of visual programming. We can play this little video. This is mostly targeted to kids because kids are the only ones that would put up with this nonsense. No offense to the wonderful people.
It looks awful. I mean,
I would have known it when I was a kid. But
okay,
still,
well, I would have probably said it looked awful too, but still, there is. We're a very difficult child. Okay, let's watch Scratch.
So this is cool.
Things that they've programmed.
Yeah. Little kids made this. Not the programming language, but the things with the programming language.
Media? Oh, this is an MIT program as
it's an MIT project, yeah.
I have seen this, and it's literally blocks that snap together.
Precisely, yes. But that's basically programming.
I know, that's why I wish programming was like this, and I would do it.
Yeah. That's why we're building this thing that we're building.
I know. I think it's good to also look at examples that are like website builders, where
Yes.
they just take out the
Yeah.
code
Exactly.
entirely, like Webflow, which we used for our site. I didn't have to really code anything. You can go in and you can customize it more with code, but I can just say add a text block here, here's the size, add an image here, add a video here. I want it to float left, and I want it to, I don't know, be 100% width and all that jazz. So it kind of made that entire process significantly easier. So I think those are also good examples.
I think it's a great example, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole point to what we're doing here is to take things that are really complicated, really difficult, that to involve a lot of work, and see if we can cut that work down by like 90+%. Right? If we go just from 2D to 3D, it's our belief, at least, it's our theory, we're going to test it out live on the internet, that we're going to see really radical enhancement of our ability to produce working programs. So if we have the ability to be in a 3D virtual live programming studio, we should be out competing standard engineers on a regular basis. And I think that could be a fun little special episode, or a few actually, like bringing in some top engineers from nearby startups. There are a lot of really well-known startups, like Etsy, for example, right nearby. That could be a fun thing to do.
We're in SoDum / Dumbo
South
Heights.
Dumbo, yes.
Yes. So we're near the Navy Yard, near Dumbo, near downtown Brooklyn, where there's lots of activity in terms of tech, everything popping up.
Yeah, doing Iron Chef for 2D versus 3D code would be so fun. Be amazing.
Yeah, so specifically Scratch, it's interesting because I think I have seen this before. It's ugly.
Yes.
But it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. And I'm super curious how to pull that into 3D space. I don't think that's necessarily the best interface.
No, I agree. I think the most important insight that we're testing here, the hypothesis that we have, is that at this point, everything's an interface. Or whether it's at this point or in the very near future, we're living in a world now that is very, very fast becoming one where you have touch screens everywhere, you have motion capture, you have all sorts of stuff that's making everything into an interface, no longer stuck to a small screen on your phone or on your desktop or what have you, or your TV, right? So if everything's an interface, well then how does that change how we design interfaces? If the human body, when you're wearing a suit or wearing a wearable of any kind, is an interface, if you're wearing gloves that can make things happen in VR or AR, or a ring, for example, I'm referencing actual products that exist right now. How do we have to change how we design for that? Because it's not the same as designing for a website.
Yeah, VR is kind of like doing actual physical product design, but without gravity.
Yes. Exactly. Without gravity and a whole bunch of other
without gravity and like without actual science.
Yes, if you could create a world of your own, what would you do? And that's a wonderful question for you because you do Sims live casting, right? And so anybody that plays with Sims or plays with Minecraft or does any kind of other world builder stuff already gets a lot of this. We're just doing it for the real world now. The entire world becomes a product of our imaginations, and that's a exciting and scary prospect because, well, what do you do when the world is your canvas? It's a big challenge. I think it's scary for some people. Not scary for me. I love it.
It sounds fun.
I've been waiting for that my entire damn life. That's amazing. Yeah, let's go to the Flow Hub. Flow Hub is a different kind of example here. This is meant for people that are a little bit older than what Scratch is meant for. Why don't we watch that video too? That'd be kind of fun.
Oh yeah, full skater.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, there's sound.
That makes software creation more playful and more powerful. FlowHub keeps high-level logic on the graph, and with peer-to-peer real-time communication, your whole team can collaborate to wire it all together. FlowHub keeps
Nice little British robotic voice.
so developers can easily contribute to our
It's cute.
library of
Makes every video better.
designed for your fingers. You can build faster with intuitive gestures.
Yeah.
FlowHub is
Just click and drag. Kind of, it's
Click and
very
drag.
similar to what you saw on the soundstage in that case.
or
Yep.
make video games.
Except only on iPads and other touchpads.
Backed up.
Mm.
Of course, FlowHub was built with FlowHub from the Bitcoin
And it's really just a big
system to the graphic
flowchart
card.
that,
Funded by Kickstarter,
I don't know,
slated
it
for
was
sale
funded by Bitcoin or something. I don't really understand the Bitcoin connection.
Lock in your early adopter discount and help us deliver the open source and hosted versions better, faster, stronger.
Better, faster, stronger.
Can you just do an entire video in a British accent?
It'll be embarrassing.
So as much as I want a visual programming reality, this doesn't impress me. Like, it's great,
It's
awesome.
squares and lines.
Yeah, exactly. I might as well just stick to text. It's not that big of an improvement. I don't really, I mean, I like flowcharts when I'm making a mind map, but this is not really that exciting.
Yeah.
Kind of over it.
We have colors.
Yeah, great. Mostly gray.
I like gray.
I like gray too. It's just a little bit too much gray, I think. That's my complaint here. It's very muted. Right? There's not a lot of contrast
Well,
at
that's
all.
just saying you don't think it's very exciting.
It's not very exciting.
And I also
Pretty
just
sure I
don't
said that
think
straight
it
up.
works
Yeah.
like as it could.
Well, I think that's a really important point, right? Like, what is the intention here? What's the thing that actually makes a difference for whether something works as it could or doesn't? I think the point here is, how do you code better? How do you create things that are usually made with code better than doing it with text? And in this case, I don't see how having a series of boxes on a screen makes you have to think less. You don't have I mean, the whole point is to make it so that you don't have to think as much, right? I still look at that and I have to hold everything I want to
on an
create in
iPad,
my
too?
mind. Yeah, exactly.
It's like a small space.
Yeah, it's a very small space. It's very limited.
That'd be cool if these were actual. Imagine it being more three-dimensional and they're actual
Yeah.
rooms and those are actual objects in the room and you're walking
Exactly.
around and you're playing with them and you're moving them in different spaces.
And then you're doing
That's
that for each
interior
component.
design then.
Exactly.
Oh man!
That's what we're doing. We are interior designing our live coding space. That's exactly
this is
right.
everything I
We're just
love.
playing Sims, just in a different context. Make
Oh,
blockchain.
and look at all of the words.
Yep.
Use existing components or code your own.
Yeah.
That's also going to be an interesting challenge because we
Absolutely.
won't have everything there. So how do people code their own?
Well-
If it's a physical space and they're physical objects that people are moving around, are they going to be building them in Blender and then importing them in and then having
No.
code
I mean,
attached
that's
to
a great
it,
thing where
or-
we can pull up Sketchfab, or we can pull up. We're going to get the hologram in a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and talk about like how people don't have to create their own objects, right? So we are going to be taking a one language at a time approach. So yes, what I would love in the glorious future at some point when we're just like swimming in money and unicorns. Or swimming with unicorns. I don't really want to swim in unicorns. It's a little weird. I can't help it. I'm hypervisual.
That's what the video is called now. Swimming in unicorns.
Perfect. But in that wonderful future, it's just obvious that when we're able to build out and test out an experience, a program like what we're talking about that works for Solidity, for building out blockchain applications, why wouldn't we also do the same thing for C#, which Unity is built in, or for JavaScript, or for building out any other kind of code? It should be a general purpose coding environment. But we're going to start off with one language at a time. During this series especially, we're only committing to Solidity because we don't want to bite off more than we already have.
I think translating this is something in general, every time I go to learn another coding language, when I go and I type in the coding language, I go to their site, it's this.
Yep, exactly.
And
Just
as a
wall of
very
text.
visual person, I just look at that and I go, I like the little image, the one image they put in there.
Mhm.
But it's so hard for me to digest that.
Yeah, this is why I love YouTube, because YouTube, at least listening to a real human being, usually,
Yeah.
usually, sometimes not, but at least listening to a real human being talk about the code,
Mm-hmm.
to actually just like deal with like one bite of a concept at a time, just one chunk at a time, and to explain, okay, well, these are the challenges they faced, and this is the frustration they had trying to look something up and going to Google and being like, this is all from 5 years ago. It doesn't even apply anymore. Being able to talk about like how every single one of us. I've been doing programming for 20 years. I have imposter syndrome. I always assume that if I don't know how to do something, I get to that stuck moment, and I've seen you feel the same way. I get to that stuck moment where I'm like, I thought I understood this stuff. What's going on? What am I missing? And it's always something really tiny that you overlook, like a comma in the wrong place.
It's always a comma. It's always a semicolon.
Usually a semicolon. Yeah. So
or a bracket.
Yes. That's why translating things like this, whether through YouTube or more richly, more in depth through a 3D environment, can be so powerful, because this isn't understood even by the majority of programmers. It's not because it's like oddly complex, it's that we have to hold way too many things in our mind at the same time, and it just becomes more and more every day. There are too many calls to our attention all the time. I'm just exhausted by this.
In general.
No, I am a lively person. Sometimes.
What's this one?
Oh, this one's fun. Let's talk about this one. So this is contrasting with that. This again for kids, right? Oh, that's a beautiful graphic or whatever. That was just
an ad.
Trying to get you to sign up for Wired. But this is awesome. Sony, who has been known for producing some really awesome things like PlayStation 20 years ago and the Walkman almost 40 years ago. They haven't been really on their game recently. Did something kind of cool, right? So again, they're targeting kids. I don't really understand this whole thing about like only kids get to be creative with the technology that runs the world. I don't get that. But fair. This is fun. It's colorful. You're playing with physical blocks and piecing them together to learn code. But again, look at that. That's Scratch, basically.
Oh, look at that. It's very similar to the other one. So this is physical computing.
Yes.
This is teaching them physical computing. Okay. So they're doing that same exact kind of like modular 2D interface hooked up to whatever little block thing that they made.
I would have loved that. I would have spent all day doing that. I spent 10, 12, 14 hours a day inches from the TV playing Zelda and Mario and all the rest. I did.
And back in the day.
Yep, back in the day. I would have been doing this instead. Any day.
These are so cool. I painted and drew things with crayons and markers and stuff like that.
Sometimes.
And then I built little houses for my mice with postcards.
I didn't do that.
Or index cards.
Oh, that's a good reminder. Talk about the mice. I mean the rats.
At the end.
Okay, sure. Makes sense.
Let's show them hologram too.
Sure.
But what is this one?
We can come back to that.
Okay.
Right?
We want to show this. This is the one that I dove into with Sean. Mm-hmm. Never having done real 3D modeling. Like, actually, I took, I think, like 2 weeks of a 3D modeling class several years ago in Maya. So it's a completely different program. And it's a completely different time. And I did not learn a lot in 2 weeks. It's not really a significant amount of time in a class when you go there once a week. So we dove in. Him being in advertising and doing strategy also knew nothing. And we fumbled significantly.
Nothing about 3D.
Oh, yeah, no, he knows
modeling.
Things. Just not 3D modeling.
Hi, Sean.
So we went to hologram together, and we were playing around with the program, and we see visuals like this, and we're like, oh, that's super cool. We can do that. It was a lot harder than we thought. But we did learn a lot about what we could do in this and what we could learn to make.
You learned a lot during a short live stream.
Yeah, we did. And we also had the person who...
The creator of Hologram, Etienne, came online and started interacting with us and commenting on a bunch of stuff. It was absolutely awesome.
He helped us. It was so nice. So he was giving us tips and tricks of how to use the program. I wonder if this plays a bit... Oh, I don't even know if you can see this.
That's super cool.
No. Oh, wait, there we go.
Yeah.
It went big.
Yeah, cool.
So this is the program. You can import things from Sketchfab, from Google Blocks, which are places... Well, Sketchfab just kind of houses...
Yeah, it's a library of 3D
objects.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Google Blocks allows you to create 3D objects in VR.
Yep.
Like basic 3D objects. You can also import the blocks into Blender, which is like or Cinema 4D and other like
Maya as
expensive
well.
programs.
Blender's free.
Yes,
But-
Blender's the free one, which is why I know Blender.
But what's super cool that we will be doing during this series at some point, probably pretty early on actually, is taking things made in blocks and importing them directly into Unity. And the things you can do as far as like making very basic shapes into much more complex and beautiful objects in Unity, it's really fun. It's really good.
Yeah,
You're gonna enjoy that a lot.
I'm excited. The thing I liked about hologram too is that you can watch someone be building in hologram.
Yes.
There's a URL, like a link. You can then hook up to your Google Cardboard.
Yeah, or you can just do it in a browser.
Well, in
you don't
your
even need to do it in Cardboard.
Oh, well, I think how it was displayed, it worked in. It was VR. Can you just load it in a browser and
You can
look
just
at
load it in a browser and move around with the object online.
Oh.
But you won't have that 360 effect. You won't be in it.
Oh, okay.
Right?
But you can
still see it.
Yeah. So you're sharing like your progress with people as you're making it. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, I love it. And it's only a few weeks old. I think it was released on Product Hunt just a few weeks ago. And Etienne is developing it pretty damn fast. I'm really impressed by what he's been doing so far.
It's cool.
It's only available for Mac right now. I don't know what his plans are for Windows. I don't personally mind because we're Mac people.
He said it would be soon.
Okay, well, that'll be cool. We do live stream from a PC. We do VR things from a PC. But generally, we're Mac people because design and all that. But
something I also really liked about this was you can kind of see down here, there's a bunch of lines of code, and you can bring in the animations and events and all that jazz. And you could just write the code out. But again, like I look at that and I see, oh, there's some colors.
Yes.
But in this thing, and in this view, in this
view
of it, on the left side, you see there's like different items that you can be pulling in from blocks, for example, properties, and actually below that, you can be making the animations in this scene.
Yep.
So you could be coding, essentially you're coding the animation in the scene, and then you just translate it into the other view, into this, you just bring it in.
Yes. And
then it's taken your animation that you did, like you said, I wanted this to move around this way, and I want the camera to pan this way. And all I gotta do is like say import from this particular scene.
Yep.
And then it's boom. I didn't do so well at it, but like it was really
It was your first time. I think you did amazingly well. You did pretty damn well.
But I figured it out that that's what you do.
Yeah.
So it was really, really cool. So that's kind of the idea of like coding without actually coding.
Yeah, exactly.
That they've
coding without text, right?
Yeah, coding without
it's still code.
text.
Like just because it's visual code doesn't mean it's not code. You're still making things that run on software, right? That run with code. So I think of it the same way.
Yeah, and Blocks is a great example of taking like much more complex 3D programs and simplifying it.
Yeah.
It is slightly limiting, but I mean, we have to try out the other one.
Gravity Sketch. I can't wait.
So we should do
That's going to be a lot of fun.
And we should do a live stream of that too.
Yeah, I want to set up a live stream from the Future Labs especially. That's going to be really good for them, I think.
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
We'll have lots of different VR live streams as well. You'll see me doing a lot of different things.
I'll do things
all
too.
over the place.
I'll do some things too. We'll see.
Anything else that you want to show off, or?
Well, why don't we talk a little bit about why blockchain and why it's so damn hard, right? So we talked about the positive reasons why we're focusing on blockchain, on smart contracts, on cryptocurrencies, like how important it is and how powerful it is and how cool it is. But the other reason why we're focusing specifically on doing Solidity and doing blockchain stuff is because it's incredibly hard to understand. Nobody gets it. We mentioned that a little bit earlier, but like I just can't emphasize it enough. Almost nobody gets it. It combines a few different, really abstract concepts together. Yeah. I read a wonderful piece. You read it also. We shared it pretty widely about comparing blockchain to the greatest invention of the last 500 years that pretty much everyone has missed. and that's triple entry bookkeeping. It's a really dry sounding topic. It's basically about accounting. It's about bookkeeping.
It's boring.
But arguably,
but it's super useful.
Arguably, there have been no greater inventions since fire for humanity besides accounting. Like when we started to keep track with the very first version, single entry bookkeeping, where we just had a book or a clay tablet or whatever, and we simply wrote down, I have this many things, you owe me this many things, I owe you this many things. That was a tremendous economic explosion that happened after that, because people were suddenly able to just keep track of things in a way they couldn't keep track of them before, right? And we tend to not realize like how big a deal something so simple is, because it happened 10,000 plus years ago. When we went from that all the way up to the 1500s in Europe, in Venice, that's what we had up until then. Then we finally had double entry bookkeeping, because there was this massive explosion of sea-based, of ocean-based transit, where people were moving goods all over the place. If you just kept records in one place with one line of entries, whoever was able to get access to that, you could just change it. And suddenly, whatever wealth you had, it's no longer socially accepted, and therefore it's no longer worth anything. So you kept two lines of records, basically, that you could compare from place to place, and that was a tremendous revolution that changed the way the next 500 years took place. And recently, in the last 9 years or so, we've had this revolution of triple entry bookkeeping, otherwise known kind of sort of as blockchain, right? Where you're not just able to keep track of who owes what and of what you own. You're not just able to like make loans or get into debt or what have you. You're also now able to verify in an intensely reliable way that something that someone says happened at some point in the past actually happened. And you're able to store value in a way that you can never do before. It's really complicated, really abstract, but a really big deal. So we're focusing on blockchain because it's important to take hyper complex things that influence the way everyone lives and make them simple enough for anyone to understand. We also just like taking on hard challenges.
Yeah. I think it'll be really fun to live stream it, and then also to create videos that are just like either summaries of our live streams or some sort of animation, bullet point, 3D animated, something like that.
We can just go into Mindshow and make some stuff.
Oh my god!
How cool would that be? You want to show Mindshow really quickly?
Okay, I'll show Mindshow. Mindshow is really cool. It's a very cool program, Mindshow. You essentially you drag in characters into a scene, so you can pick a scene. You could have created a scene, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you can create a scene.
And then you jump into the character, and then you act out as that character.
This would be awesome. Yeah. Blockchain videos and Unity videos in Mindshow.
So someone is pretending to be that alien, and VR is tracking their voice and tracking their movements within the scene. So you don't have to, you just bring in pre-made objects, or you can build your own and bring them in. But they have a few of them, like the alien is one of them. It's really weird to become the alien.
Yeah, that'll probably be me.
You can adjust your facial expression as well. So you can go just from moving your thumb, like happy to really sad to scared to angry. It's amazing. That would be a fantastic way to explain blockchain as a weird Twinkie thing with a part of his head cut off.
Why not? Why not?
Or a monkey.
Yes.
Well, that's an orangutan.
It is an orangutan.
Specifically. Or the scary dog.
That monocle's a bit much.
It's amazing.
Yes.
So maybe you'll be seeing some weird aliens explain blockchain to you in the future. I look forward to that.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. Well, we could spend all day showing you amazing things that are happening in VR and new ways of changing how we create. But I think we should probably move on to like the last bit of what we're talking about today and save something for Thursday.
Yes.
And save a few things up our sleeve. Why not? I hope that was a good, if a little bit wide-ranging introduction to some of what we're about to do. It certainly, I mean, I learned a lot from this, and that's kind of the point here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Best way to learn is to teach, I guess, or to put yourself live on the internet talking about things. But yeah, you want to switch to like the plugs, the shameless plugs?
Shameless plug time.
We should animate that in mind. It's so cool.
What should we shamelessly plug first? Do we shamelessly plug Patreon?
Well, yeah, why not? You brought it up, so let's do that. But then we've got the Raddies, and we've got a few other things,
yeah,
right?
So we aren't taking like a VC funding route.
No.
Someone described it as a cactus up your ass, and we
Yes.
kind of agree with that.
Yes.
We want to do like community funding, so you get rewards for it. It's kind of like a reoccurring Kickstarter situation. You go in.
We just created this, by the way.
We literally just created this.
Yes.
That's why I got it like a little bit. So this is one specifically for me. So I'm live streaming, gaming, tech, design, lots of different things. I'm streaming Sims 4, which has been super fun. And if you donate to the Patreon, you get things like patron-only content, which is like behind-the-scenes things, Discord access, which is where you can actually have conversations like voice conversations with other people in the community, not just during the stream, but also like when the stream isn't happening. And then I could also like make one of my Discords something that I'm live streaming, so I'm talking directly with you guys.
That could be a lot of fun for what we're doing with this also.
Yes.
In certain circumstances. We
Yeah,
don't have
so
all
we
these
can
voices
invite
coming at us all the time.
yeah, we can invite guests to join us on the show through
Yeah.
Discord, and they can actually join in the conversation.
Yeah, that's gonna be really fun.
So you'll get things like sneak peeks, or playing with me, or some being able to download 3D objects and graphics that I'm making in my live stream, or being in a video.
Yep.
But for Liminal specifically, we have much larger goals. So we're creating content resources for creators, as we were describing. This one project is just one of those things, and hopefully this project will help us be able to create many, many more. So things you'll be able to do are get credit on the website, access Discord like I described before. We'll also have merchandise that we'll be posting on Shapeways, where you just 3D print it and then you purchase it through them.
I can't wait for the shirts and hoodies too. It's gonna be so much fun. We'll design those live online too.
And we'll be
Why not?
having lots of events and classes. This is kind of like a preview of the classes to some extent. Maybe like a not as structured.
This is a less structured
Yes,
version
this
of what
is
our classes
extremely
will be like. Yes, this is
unstructured
meant to be
version.
less structured.
But
and
you'll see some of
hopefully
the
more
content that
engaging.
we're interested in and that we will be making
Yeah.
actual classes with syllabuses for.
Yes.
You can come in and collaborate with us on a project. So with this particular project or what have you.
That'd be awesome.
And we have like some for sponsoring. And this is going to go to a lot of things that are for the community as a whole. So it's not just us two. Like we have 100+ fellows right now that we want to
Within
bring
Liminal,
in.
yeah.
Within Liminal, we want to bring in, help build this
Yeah.
and create awesome things within the space.
And also help out
Yeah.
anybody else who's live streaming. One of the big intentions for us doing this at all is to go and help anyone, really, not just people that are within our Liminal community, but anyone who's looking to get into live streaming themselves and to build a platform for what they care about.
Yeah. And so we'll be bringing any money that we kind of take in is going to go right to improving the quality and the quantity of our content.
Yeah.
So we'll get things like a new Vive, a new PC, so you'll be able to see us in VR. Maybe we can do some mixed reality stuff.
Yeah, we have an Oculus here right now, and we have access to a few other things, but we definitely need to upgrade a lot of the equipment.
Yes, because it costs
A lot.
We're hoping to gain different spaces in the area, so be able to do things like just have a studio outside of this studio here, have a retail showcase, which
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Could be so many different things.
Yeah. We're thinking about doing we've been planning pretty actively about doing a zero inventory retail shop, right? So a shop where you don't have anything for sale on site. You have it all virtually and through augmented reality and through digital access represented in the shop. And really, it's just a gathering place for people that want to do cool things with whatever focus we happen to have at that point in time. One of the biggest inspirations for that is a place called Story. You can look it up if you look up Story Store. It's near the High Line in New York, in Chelsea. And they change up everything about the inside of the shop every month. They have different themes, and they have some really cool ones. We could possibly call it up if we want to show people.
Yeah.
But, and it's like they treat their entire shop, their entire store, as if it was like a department store window, a diorama, or like a diorama in a museum, and it's really, really awesome. But we want to do that kind of stuff, but with VR and other technology.
Yeah. So any money donated to the Liminal page on Patreon, will go toward being able to get access to those spaces, sharing everything that we're doing with more people,
and bring more of you in also.
Yeah. Expanding our community of amazing creative technologists and other amazing people who do amazing things.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so my thing specifically is once I hit 100 subscribers on YouTube or followers on Twitch, I will be able to get 2 pet ratties. Don't be disgusted, they're really cute and they can do tricks. It's like a hamster with a tail, so that's how I'm going to describe it.
They're adorable.
They're really cute, and I'm going to teach them tricks, and I'll live stream tricks, and I'll live stream them, and you'll love them.
We should animate them and put them into some...
Yes! Yes. We're going to do lots of things with the ratties, but then we can have a little ratty on our shoulder while we're doing
like an
our
actual
live streams,
one,
like an actual rat.
Yeah.
So I need to hit 100, so follow and subscribe to me because I need the ratty. It'll make me really happy too, at the very least. Maybe just making me happy is enough.
You never know.
Yeah.
Cool. I think other than the usual, please like, subscribe, share. I think that's pretty much it, right? That's good for a first run on this 26-week, 52-episode series. It sounds so much when I put it that way.
Yeah, it sounds long.
I love it. It's great. It's great. We're going to build some awesome stuff.
Yeah.
This is going to be great.
We're going to build a thing to build more
awesome stuff. We're going
to
learn so much.
Yeah. I'm glad we get to share it.
Yeah. Really important. Awesome. Yeah. So I guess tune in next time at 4:04 p.m. Eastern Time on liminal.is. You just click on the live button, or I love the little musical accompaniment.
I'm doing the outro.
It's great. Please keep it up. Twitch.tv/Liminal Studios, Twitch.tv/RGBubs, or bit.ly/RGBubs-YouTube. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.